Welcome everyone. This is the July 2014 Wellness by Alyson webinar, and tonight's presentation is called Slowing Down to Speed Up Your Metabolism. I'm so excited everybody is here. If you don't have a pad and paper, please go ahead and get one. We're going to go ahead and get started right away. My name is Alyson Clark, and I'm a certified holistic health coach and the founder of Wellness by Alyson. I provide holistic health and nutrition coaching both one-on-one and through group coaching, and I specialize in 11-day seasonal detox programs. You can learn all about a lot of those programs on my site at wellnessbyalyson.com. And so tonight's webinar is really cool. I really love this topic. It's all about slowing down. In the past few emails I've had sending out, I've gotten a lot of response back on how important it is to slow down, how a lot of this has been resonating with people, particularly high-stress folks working 9-to-5 jobs, feeling very, very burnt out, kind of inhaling their lunch, coming home late for dinner, and it's very high-paced, and it creates a lesser health state than we want to, right? And so this entire webinar is all about slowing down. I'll be talking to you and focusing a lot on what we call the 8 universal metabolizers. And all of this information is taken from the Slow Down diet, which I will go into in a little bit. And then tonight we're focusing on examining your food story, or I've also referred to it as your nutritional story. And so that's going to be a really neat exercise we'll get into in a moment. And then I will close with a special offer for all of you listening to the recording live on this call and those that are watching it as well. So I want to take kind of a step back to kind of a day in the life of what perhaps a very, very busy person might have, or you can take a look at what your life looks like. I'll also be looking at what my life looks like on a day-to-day basis. So I want you to stop and just in your moment, in this moment, in your mind, think, where and what did you eat for breakfast today? Where and what did you eat for breakfast? What did that look like for you? Were you on the go? Were you able to make something for yourself? Did you have to get up really, really early and then therefore kind of sacrifice sleep to make yourself breakfast? Maybe you didn't have breakfast at all. Maybe you got something on the run. I want you to move into lunch and think about what lunch looked like. Was it calm? Were you around loved ones? Were you around fun coworkers, enjoying, really taking that hour and enjoying your lunch? Or was it raced? Was it at your desk? Did you have a lunch? Okay. Moving forward into the afternoon, did you find yourself thinking, I need to pick me up. I've got to have a cookie. I really need a cup of coffee. I'm going to fall asleep. I'm tired and, need to go walk down to 7-Eleven and pick up a candy bar. What does that afternoon kind of slump look like for you? Hopefully you didn't have one. Hopefully you didn't need necessarily an afternoon pick me up. Or maybe you opted for something different, like a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. And then let's fast forward into dinner time. And maybe you haven't had dinner yet. Maybe you already have. What time were you eating dinner? Are you having dinner really late? Are you having dinner at least 3 to 4 hours before you go to sleep? And what did you have for dinner? From all my experiences working with different clients, working with people and people that I know, people I love, friends and family, just about everybody I know is racing around all the time. And my message to everyone is that we need to slow down. There are little arrows here pointing on the screen share if you can see it, and one is pointing to the direction of stress, which was some of the examples I was sharing before, and one is pointing to the area of relaxed. This webinar tonight is all about how we can actually increase our metabolism and therefore burn fat by getting ourselves into the relaxed state, even if it means tricking our body. So we're going to dive into that, and I'll be sharing with you. A lot of information from what I'm referring to here is one of my favorite nutrition books. It's called The Slow Down Diet. The author's name is Mark David. It's wonderful. He's the founder of the Institute for Psychology of Eating. And I highly recommend this book. It's called The Slow Down Diet. It is actually not a diet. It is simply a book with 8 different tenets, and we'll go into those, which he calls the universal metabolizers, which talk about the how of eating instead of the what. This book doesn't tell you, you know, you need to have salad, you need to have a smoothie, and you need to do all these types of things. No. He mostly talks about how you're eating. The message is very simple. It's to eat slowly. It's really just to slow down, right? To be aware and really fully enjoy quality meals. We will get a little bit into the what in terms of what to eat, but it's mostly the how. And the premise is if you do these things, if you're eating slow, if you're aware, if you're really connected in that moment that you're eating, you will improve your metabolism. I've seen this happen for me. I've seen this happen for other people. It can be as simple as just chewing more. That's a really simple take. Or it might be something quite a bit more complicated, like really rewriting your nutrition story, your food story, the entire story that is in your mind, that is recorded, that you have built over the decades you've been here on this earth with how you relate to food. And so we're going to spend some time with that tonight. Before we dive into all of that, I've been referring to metabolism, and I want to give you two different definitions of metabolism. The first comes from Wikipedia, great go-to source, right? So Wikipedia says that the metabolism is a set of life-sustaining chemical transformations within the cells of living organisms. Okay, and that's actually a very good definition from the science, I think, perspective. We're going to move to Mark David's definition, and this would also be very similar to my own, which is that metabolism is not just the sum total of all the chemical reactions in the body, but it's also the sum total of all of our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and experiences, not just related to food, but really to life in general, to what's happening in that moment, to what has happened to us over the course of our lives. There really is a lot more going on with metabolism, I think, than really meets the eye. It simply isn't just the science of, a furnace burning food and, calories getting expended. It's not as simple as that. There's a lot more going on. And really that's really the premise of everything we'll talk about here tonight. So I wanted to give you an example of a burger. This could be a cheeseburger. This could be a chili burger. This could be any kind of burger. I've got two identical burgers on either side of my slides here. But we're going to take an example of eating this burger in two very different situations. Okay? Many of us have had burgers before, and many of us have been in these situations. So on the left-hand side, the first example is that you're having that burger with friends at a birthday party. Very calm, relaxed atmosphere. You're with loved ones. You're enjoying. You're laughing. You're having a great time. Your burger arrives. The ambiance is nice. You've got your great, wonderful beverage of choice in front of you. Maybe you've had an appetizer already. You're enjoying the burger. Imagine this moment. You're in this moment right now. It's your best friend's birthday, and you're chewing the burger, but you're also talking with each other, and you're laughing, and you're having a great time. And you want to follow that burger down through the body. The burger's getting digested, right? Everything that needs to happen is happening. The macro and micronutrients, everything that made up that burger is getting absorbed into the body, right? For better or for worse, but it's getting absorbed into the body. Everything in that burger, which is fuel. It's not just that it's a burger, and this is not a McDonald's burger. This is a really nice burger, by the way. And it is really turning into fuel, and you don't experience side effects. Okay? You just enjoyed your burger, and you had a wonderful time, and you left the restaurant, and then you went home, and hopefully several hours later you then went to sleep if there was no problem. Okay? Now let's take an example where you're eating that burger at work. At a lunch meeting. It's very, very fast paced. Perhaps you're in the middle of a conference, and you're just very quickly, basically inhaling that burger. You really need to get back to another meeting that's happening where you are being called upon to go back. So you're quickly eating your burger. You picked it up. You've either bought it or you picked it up where the conference food was. You're chewing it. You're eating it very quickly. Your mind is not on that burger. Your mind is on the meeting that you need to get back to. Okay? Perhaps there's some stress going on with work life and things are due, or, it doesn't matter. But if you're in a high stress situation, okay, so you have to get back to your meeting. firstly, what didn't happen was that your mouth didn't have a chance really to produce salivary enzymes, right? And so if you think about you sitting with your friends, enjoying, you're thinking about that burger comes to you, the waitress delivers it, or maybe you're at a dinner party and someone's made the burger and you're smelling it, working on the grill, it's so delicious, and your body is having a chance to really get ready to eat that burger, okay? Now, back to your meeting at work, your mouth didn't have a chance. It was very quick. You picked up the burger, shoved it in your mouth, chewing very quickly, right? There wasn't enough chance for the salivary enzymes that are produced in your salivary glands to help you digest that food. That's very important, especially if you're having carbohydrates, okay? And you may have your burger on a bun, right? And so it's very important that you have those enzymes in there to help you. Okay, traveling down the food stomach where, like the rest of the body, it might be mildly inflamed, okay? You are in a high-stress situation. Your body is kind of, in a mild inflammation because you're stressed out, because you've got the cortisol and the adrenaline pumping through, all right? So your body's trying to digest the food. It sees the food there. It's trying to help you digest the food. It's trying to help you bring it to the intestines, right? But what's happening is that you're perhaps in a state of panic. You got to get back to your meeting. You got to run upstairs. You got to do something right away. And blood has actually moved away from the intestines and your stomach and your whole GI system. It's actually moved to your limbs and to the mind, or rather to your brain, to help you deal with that stress. You're actually in a flight or fight mode. And if you think back evolutionarily, this is the same thing as if, an elephant was chasing you, or a bear, or something like that, when you needed to quickly run or quickly outthink the elephant or the bear or whatever was happening. Hopefully none of these things have, really actually happened. But, you have to move very quickly. That is the flight or fight mode. The same thing is happening when you're under high stress situation at work, at this conference. The blood is not going to your intestines adequately. Okay, so you literally aren't digesting this food very well. If at all, it's actually sitting with you. Okay, so like I was saying before, adrenaline and cortisol pumping through your body. You're feeling very full. You're feeling very bloated. You have to go back into that meeting. Maybe you're suffering from some gas. Maybe you're suffering now from some indigestion. Maybe you're going to have heartburn in a little bit. It really varies. It depends on how you ate that food. It really varies based on case by case. But this is a typical scenario of somebody sort of inhaling their lunch in a high stress situation going back. And so what has happened, you are eating under stress, and that is causing you to store fat. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. When you eat under stress, it causes you to store fat. A really perfect example of a time when you are eating the same exact thing but in a different situation would be if you were going on vacation. Okay, and how many times have we gone on vacation, really enjoyed, 7-day, maybe Caribbean vacation, or maybe you went to Europe, and not something for a very long time, but something 5-7 days, and you come back and you think to yourself, my God, I must have gained 5 pounds, 7 pounds, this is crazy, and I ate so much, but you really didn't. Maybe you gained 1 pound, maybe you gained no pounds, maybe you lost a pound, but what had happened was that your body was in such a relaxed mode. You were not stressed out. You just let your body do what it was meant to do, which is to help you digest everything. You were in the company of loved ones. You were enjoying yourself. You were breathing. You might have been in open air. Now, how great would that be to have that all of the time? Of course, we can't necessarily, and choose to move to the Caribbean and enjoy life this way, which sounds very lovely. But this is not typical, right? Most of us are under stress. Maybe it's just a light level stress, but maybe it's a high stress scenario, and this is causing you to store fat. I'll give you a couple more examples. Typical example, maybe you're eating a breakfast burrito in the car. You're running to work and you think, gotta have some kind of breakfast. Better to have something than nothing. So you grab something, maybe some fast food. You're in traffic, you're late for work. You're worried about being late, you're running low on gas. Damn, this is a problem, okay? You are in a high-stress situation. Your body is not going to help you break down that breakfast burrito. No, it is not, okay? Think about another example. You're in a fight with your sister over a family issue, or you're in a fight with a friend or somebody else, and you can't seem to shake it. You are so mad, and you are dwelling on it, and you're eating your salad, and you really don't give anything else, and your just mind is on this family issue, and you can't think of anything else. How do you think your salad is going to get digested? The answer is not very well, right? You've got all of those stress hormones in the body. The blood is going more to your mind. You're thinking about all of these things, and you're not able to break that salad down really in the way that it's meant to be. And that's just an example, maybe we're eating out of salad. Another example, boss needs you to finish the financial report by close of business that day. It's 4:30 and it's not done. You will panic, but you are also hungry at the same time, and you're feeling like you're going to fall asleep. You're going to pick me up. So you grab a coffee and you grab a candy bar, and you're just going to pump your way and get through it. Now, normally at 4:30, you might not feel that way. Maybe you would just go for, some water or a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. And you are stressed out, and this is something that's going to make you feel good. You know that coffee's going to wake you up. You know that candy bar is going to give you a pick-me-up. And you're feeling bad for yourself because, my God, it's almost 4:30 and this thing is taking you so long, right? So this is very, 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 very typical. But in each example, including the burger example, your body has not had a chance to really help you digest that food, which is so critical. And that's affecting your metabolism. It's actually slowing it down. So a thought to consider here is, what if it wasn't what we're eating as much as how we're eating? Okay, so in all of the examples, I did give you an example of food. I said a burger, the breakfast burrito, the salad, the coffee, and the candy bar. Sure, I gave you examples. Some of them, of course, better than others. But I'm actually, for the moment, going to ask you to step away from that and think a little bit outside the box and think about what wasn't what we're eating, as much as how we are eating that's either keeping us overweight, continuing to give us fatigue or loss of energy or whatever it is. All right, so we're going to jump into the 8 universal metabolizers, and we're going to actually explore this how in 8 different ways, starting with relaxation. Then we'll move over to quality, which is a bit more of the what component, but still part of the how. Awareness, rhythm, pleasure, thought, story, and the sacred. And again, these are all adapted from Mark David's The Slow Down Diet. Okay, so we're going to jump right on into the first one. So the first universal metabolizer is relaxation. Now, let me tell you, this picture that you see up here, it says, just breathe. I got so many responses back from the email that I put out last Friday, which had this picture. And my request was for the reader to just stop what they were doing and just take 5 really deep breaths before they ate something or just there in that moment to calm down and really get to a better place, a more centered place. Doing this really simple exercise helps you go from that place with that burger on the right-hand side where you're stressed out and you're at a lunch meeting to trick yourself to feeling like you're more at the birthday party, or that you're on vacation, or that you're at the dinner table enjoying and you're very calm. Okay? The trick here is that you literally just need to do these breaths, deep breathing. There's a few more things that I'll ask that you do later on, but sit there and do 5 deep breaths, and then eat your breakfast burrito in the car. Then have your burger at the work meeting. Then drink your coffee and pump out that financial report for your boss. Okay? This is tricking your body to a place where you are no longer in that fight or flight mode. Your body no longer sees yourself as, evolutionarily running from a bear and Alyson in a place of panic. It's redirected into a place of calm, and that is going to help you burn food more effectively. If you would take away one thing from this entire webinar, this is my takeaway. Okay? 5 deep breaths, nice, great, big deep breath in, and you hold and breathe out. And who cares if you look funny and someone says, why are you doing that? You say, because I want to help my body burn fat. Okay? So this is a wonderful exercise. And then also, too, just pretend like you're on vacation. If you're at home, pretend like you're on vacation. Light some candles. Really make it special. Pretend like you are in Europe, even though you're at your kitchen, your dining room table. Really just try to make your body as relaxed as possible before you go into your meal. All right, we're going to go over to quality. Now, this is the one that I said is more of the what versus the how, although they're still combined. You really want to choose the best version of whatever you're going to eat. Okay, let's say you want a piece of chocolate cake, okay? Pick the best kind of chocolate cake, right? Don't go for the chocolate cake that is in a little tiny window at the fast food place. I think McDonald's and Burger King all have some kind of variety of that. Don't do that. If you're going to have chocolate cake, really go and get a wonderful quality chocolate cake or make your own. Okay, so I'm a clean eating, nutrition person, so it's almost hard for me to tell you to, do all these things. But, once in a while, having a wonderful sweet treat, pick the best version of it. Okay, and of course there are some paleo versions of chocolate cake that you could use and things like that, and sort of a more clean version of a chocolate cake. But you know what? If you want chocolate cake, have a piece of chocolate cake. Just have the best version of it. Food contains not only nutrients, but also organic information, right? Where did the information from the chocolate cake come from? Was it wheat that grew in ground that was genetically modified, sort of pesticides? Where did the wheat from that chocolate cake come from? What was the quality of the cake when it was made? What was the surroundings of that cake? Was it made and frozen and shipped to your, local fast food restaurant? Was it shipped from somewhere outside of the state? You really don't know. So that's why I'm saying it is really nice to pick the best quality so long as you can. And then, of course, this isn't a webinar on organic food. I certainly have done them before, and I love talking about organic food. So I can refer you to others than those. But my recommendation is, the next time you go food shopping, pick just 5 foods to swap from conventional to organic. Now, conventional is just simply known as not organic. So this would just be, a regular apple, let's just say, or the lady in the picture here is holding a, beautiful red pepper. Pick 5, have them, eat them, cook with them, bake with them. See if you notice a taste difference. I'm going to bet that you will. The biggest example is going from non-organic animal protein to organic animal protein. Going from beef, and I can tell you because I did not obviously use soy as organic, going from beef that is considered conventional to organic grass-fed beef is like night and day, I feel anyway. Same thing with chicken. I know there's a difference with eggs. Quite frankly, there's a difference with everything. So just try it out next time, 5 foods, and swap them out. When you're having organic food, you know that your body isn't taking in the pesticides, the hormones, the antibiotics, and the other toxins that your body doesn't need. Okay, so quality is really important. Moving on to the third universal metabolizer is awareness. Awareness is huge, okay? In my handout notes here, I'm telling you that 40% of digestion is due to the cephalic phase digestive response. And that simply means awareness of food. Now, I like to think of food as always going to be something where you're aware that what you're putting in your mouth, hopefully it's very fresh ingredients, maybe you prepared it yourself, maybe you're at a nicer restaurant, okay? So being aware of what you're eating and what you're, having is very, very critical to then that cephalic phase digestive response, which again, basically is your body processing all that mind, body, spirit, all the information I said in the beginning, and combining it with the nutrient absorption, the chemical reactions that are taking place. It's all part of the same thing, okay? You also want to be aware and ask yourself if you're hungry or if you're thirsty, and what you're hungry for, what you're craving. Are you craving sweets? If so, why are you craving sweets? Do you just really need a hug? And that sounds silly, but truly, is that what it is? Or do you really want a handful of candy? Do you want something, salty, or are you actually really hungry? Or are you dehydrated? Being aware of food and the response to food is huge. With my clients, I like to have them keep a food journal and a food diary and write down what they're eating and how they're feeling. And you can do the same thing with a pad of notepaper. Write down, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Write down, just jot down what you're having, and then write down how you're feeling in that moment. Maybe you're feeling angry, maybe you're feeling upset, maybe you're feeling great. It doesn't matter, but just write it down and help yourself be a bit more aware. Okay? The exercise I have linked to this is just kind of going back to that water exercise, is to really try and drink half your body's weight in ounces of water. So you probably have heard this before, but let's hypothetically say you're a 150-pound person. You should be drinking 75 ounces of water, and that's equivalent to 9 cups. Okay? So it's kind of a lot, but at the same time, it's not that much. You can definitely do it. It's very, very doable. Maybe start small. You don't need to start 9 cups on the first day. Maybe try to do 6 cups and then work yourself up through the week. But very, very important. And then check in with yourself at the end of the week once you've got to that point where you're drinking half your body's weight in ounces of water. And check in with yourself and see how you're feeling. Chances are you're going to be feeling better. You might have to use bathroom a lot, just as a fair warning, but you're probably going to feel better. Okay, the fourth universal metabolizer is rhythm. Okay? This is interesting, actually. Everything in nature is guided by rhythm. We have seasons, we have day and night. If you look toward animals, they operate in rhythms. They have certain times of the day that they want to eat food. Okay? Same thing with our bodies. Our bodies are guided by circadian rhythm. And your body would actually really prefer to eat in a regular interval. All right? So my exercise here that I'm suggesting you do is to have a great breakfast, a protein-rich breakfast. And this could be either a really great smoothie with wonderful hemp protein powder, or it could be eggs. It could with maybe some nitrate-free bacon. Depends on whatever you want. But have a nice protein-rich breakfast. For lunch, have a very big, clean lunch. A clean lunch for me means something that's perhaps organic, lots of leafy vegetables, maybe some fruit, again, some protein, and that it is maybe prepared by you, but it is whatever it is big. Have a big lunch, and then have a light dinner. Now, this is different than the way that most Americans eat anyway. Most Americans eat something kind of quick for breakfast, maybe something medium-sized or small for lunch, and usually it's rushed. And then they come home, and then that's the time when they get to sit back, relax, and enjoy, and they're preparing their dinner, and they're having a bigger dinner. And then what happens? They're tired. They're kind of laying down, maybe watching some TV, and they go to sleep. And this is a huge reason why people tend to be overweight in this country anyway. Okay? All you need to do is look over to Europe and look what they do. Okay? And I'm kind of referring to like France, Italy, Spain. They have a wonderful big lunch. And then they have something very light for dinner. Right? And so if you take a look, at the, standard sort of French person, Italian person, Spanish person, and you compare and contrast with the obesity epidemic we have in this country, there is definitely something to this. So my recommendation here is to, again, have a protein-rich breakfast, have a big lunch, preferably a clean lunch if you can, protein, veggies, some fruit if you like, and then have a light dinner. Try to eat at least 4 hours before you go to sleep. I know sometimes that's difficult, but it is really, really good to try to do that. That way, your body can really help you detox through the evening as you're sleeping and bring those nutrients to the blood system so that you can be replenished for the next day. And in terms of detoxes, just like rhythms, actually very nice to detox seasonally. I'm running a seasonal detox right now. It's really good to be able to give your body a break at least once per season. And if you want more information on that, I'm happy to share later. Okay, moving on to pleasure. Okay, so I actually love this universal metabolizer. And the quote here from Mark David is, when you're turned on by food, you turn on metabolism. Now, I think a very interesting example is take your favorite food, whatever it is. From me, I love Italian food. I was raised Italian American, so I love Italian food. I really crave spaghetti and meatballs. Okay, this reminds me of my grandparents and home and being near my parents and my brothers. And I love it. It brings such wonderful memories back for me. But As somebody who avoids pasta now, the vast majority of the time, I prefer to eat something a cleaner variety, a less carbohydrate-rich variety. And so I tend to opt for something like spaghetti squash. That's actually what a picture of my meal that I had last week in front of you. Hopefully it looks appetizing. It certainly looks appetizing to me. And this is spaghetti squash with really wonderful turkey meatballs. And I've got some heirloom tomatoes in there, mushrooms. To me, this is something that makes me actually salivate right now. I'm looking at it and I want this right now. This looks to me like something wonderful, a wonderful dish that both I know is going to be nutritious for me and not, very high in sugar with all the pasta, but also it's bringing back those memories of being home with mom and grandparents and everything else, right? So this is a very pleasurable meal for me. So, my recommendation is to find, your favorite food, and maybe you can make maybe perhaps a slightly healthier version. Maybe your favorite food is a really healthy option. It just depends. But it is a nice treat to be able to have something that you really enjoy. An interesting example, and there's studies that you would see in the book, are if you look across cultures, and let's say you took a Japanese woman and you wanted to give her perhaps this dish right here. And I'm not as familiar, with Japan if they ever have spaghetti squash, but I'm not positive, and I don't think that they do. She may not find this appealing at all in any way. And if I served it to her here in my house, her body would not be turned on. She would not be experiencing pleasure necessarily. Okay. Now, if I is also, serving her favorite meal, maybe it was something traditional and Japanese, or perhaps something, like a sushi, it really just depends. Maybe she would love that. Maybe that reminds her of being home with her family, her parents. Okay. So again, it crosses cultures. It's very, very fascinating actually to study this. But the take home here is to enjoy things that are pleasurable to you. And if your favorite foods are things like cookies and candy and, things that are very high in sugar, talk to me afterward. I have a lot of examples of foods that you can make that really kind of fill any kind of craving that you have. And I think this is the perfect example right here. It's spaghetti squash dish. Okay, so moving on to thought, our next universal metabolizer. This is very, very important. See in the picture here, there's a woman, she's kind of, dancing through the lavender fields. You got to think in her mind, if she was thinking thoughts right now, it would just be happy, wonderful thoughts. She's being kind to herself. What you think and feel about food definitely affects your metabolism. If you have been a product of somebody, has been dieting, yo-yo dieting, and you think to yourself, I don't want that chocolate bar. Chocolate is bad. Okay? And you eat that chocolate bar, and all the while you're thinking, this is tasty, but oh my God, this is very bad. I'm just being very, 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 very bad. Your body is listening to you. It really is very connected to how you're processing that food. If you're eating that chocolate bar saying, bad girl, this is terrible, I can't believe you're doing this. Okay? Then your body is going to not want to really absorb that in the way that it would if you were saying, you know what, this is wonderful. I don't have this often. I've chosen the best quality, right? Remember I was saying quality, no matter what you choose the best, right? So maybe you picked an organic dark chocolate bar, 75% or higher, and you are just loving this moment. You know what? Wonderful. Enjoy that moment. That is okay. Things aren't necessarily bad. You sort of make them bad, right? And so your body's going to process it as such as you're making something bad. So my exercise here is for a full day, I'd like you to monitor your self-talk. Okay, self-talk is just you talking to yourself. I self-talk and I call myself Alyson or you or we or whatever I say. But I would say, Alyson, that looks terrible on you, referring to a clothing item. And if I was to say that to myself, I would say, and this is my suggestion for you, to say, cancel, cancel. This does not look terrible on you. Actually, this looks attractive. And if you don't like it, change something else. You're not fat, right? You're not looking ugly, none of those things. And for the record, I don't really do any of these things. But if I was, and if you do, if you ever catch yourself looking at yourself, talking to yourself as you're eating, saying something negative, say cancel, cancel. And then say something that is inspirational instead. It doesn't need to be a bold-faced lie. If you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I feel so fat. You don't have to say, oh, I feel so thin. No, you don't have to do that. But instead say, cancel, cancel. I'm working hard toward achieving my goals. My next meal is going to be a better one, and that's okay. I'm proud of myself. I'm working hard here. Okay? Just a wonderful switch that happens, and my God, there's a magical thing that takes place when you catch your self-talk, turn the negatives into positives. It really is very transformative. And so I actually would be begging you to try to do this if you are someone who does say negative things to yourself. And if you're unaware of it, really try to spend the next 24 hours from now until tomorrow watching yourself. Catch yourself talking to yourself during the day, through the computer, maybe it's in the morning. Anytime you talk to yourself, monitor your tone and see how it is. Okay. So diving into what's your story, I love this universal metabolizer. This is a biggie, and we're actually going to spend some time on this right now, actually. So if you have a pen and paper, wonderful. If you can get one, I'll wait a few seconds. Get a pen and paper, anything to write on or just type on or whatever. If for some reason you're listening to this when you're driving or you're moving, then don't worry about it. I'll still give you time to reflect, and then I'd ask that you write this down later. It really is important to write it down. So again, if you don't have a pad of paper or anything to write on near you, please go get something. Okay. So I'm going to call this sort of writing and rewriting your food story. And really, what it's about is sort of going through your life as it relates to food, as it relates to childhood, adolescence, adulthood. I want you to look at absolutely everything that we can right now in this time. We don't have a lot of time, but I would actually love you to kind of go back through this. I'll send you the slides afterwards and go through it very, very carefully. Because what we're going to do right now is write your food story. Okay? From that, we're going to try to pick up some themes. All right? I want you to very carefully, be your own health coach in this moment. Be your own, nutrition expert in this moment. And look through, almost as if you're examining someone else, and see what themes are here. Am I the victim in my food story? Do I have a really healthy food story? Have I had times in my life where there's been some, obsessiveness with food? Maybe there was a time of an eating disorder, and that might be anorexia, bulimia, and also overeating, binge eating. Okay, it could be anything, and hopefully that certainly wasn't the case, but it certainly could have been. Okay, maybe you've had a really healthy food story. It really depends. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And for everyone listening, and for those watching this recording later on, if you need to pause it, if you're watching on the recording later and write some more, certainly please feel free to do that. But I will provide some time in between each question here if you're live on the call with me to go through your food story. All right, so I want you to go all the way back to you were little. You can go back to 6, 7, 8, if you can. And I want you to think about, if this relates to you, what do you know, if anything, your grandparents taught you about food? What values they taught you about eating food? Maybe it wasn't nutrition per se, but maybe they taught you about food. Maybe you watched your grandmother, making corn in the kitchen, or your grandfather outside back in the grill. Maybe you watched her making meatballs. Maybe it wasn't like that. Maybe there wasn't many memories at all. Maybe your grandparents and you loved to go out to dinner with your parents. What did you learn from them, specifically them and the way they were eating as it relates to you and food? Okay, a second and just kind of reflect back to them. And it could be both sets of grandparents, maybe one grandparent, maybe you had an older uncle or somebody that was very important in your life and they taught you about food. Anything like that is totally fine. All right. And again, if you want to pause this later, that's totally fine. Now I want to move to your parents. And this, for some people, can be big. What did your parents teach you about food? I want you to write down everything. This can be the positive, the negative. Maybe they were doing things that you, at the time, didn't see as negative, but maybe you now do. Maybe for your parents, food was not a celebration. Maybe food was, something to put on the table. Maybe it was something that was happening in a rushed environment. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe your mother cooked every night. What kind of stories and things did they tell you back then? Did your mother tell you that if you were good, you'd have a cookie after dinner? Did your father warn you that you had to finish everything on your plate? Were you ever forced to sit at the dinner table and eat everything at your plate? Were you the picky eater and your parents had to create special foods just for you? Think back to your siblings too and how it was, what the experience was like for them. Okay, what did they teach you about food? Was food something to be celebrated? Was food limited? Perhaps you grew up in a maybe poorer household. Okay? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you had a cook cooking in your kitchen. I don't know. But there are many, many, many things that often hit us later in life that we view as kind of an aha moment as I uncover them with my health coaching clients, where it was something that you've been carrying along now for many, many years that was simply a parent's message that they didn't even mean to be a negative message. They were just doing what they thought was a good idea, asking you to clean your plate or forcing you to clean your plate or telling you that, cookies are bad or something like that was bad, right? It just really depends. There is no straight answer, but I do want you to try to write down everything that you can about what your parents taught you about food. Okay. I want you to move over now to how you viewed your body as a child. For many people, this is going to be very simple. Maybe you didn't have a view. Perhaps, though, you were picked on. Maybe you were a chubby child, So write that down. Write down how you viewed your body as a child. Maybe you didn't have a view. Maybe you just kind of went about life not thinking about it. Moving to teenagehood. How did you view it as a teenager? Did you start becoming more conscious of food? Maybe you started dieting. Maybe you didn't. You started working out hard. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you started overeating. It really, it varies from person to person. And then also as an adult, how do you view your body right now? You look in the mirror. What do you see? Okay, I'm actually going to move quite a bit faster because we're sort of running out of time. So I'm going to be just running through these, and then I'd like you to go through all of this after we're done with the webinar. And of course, if you're watching, then you can press pause. I want you to write down if you've ever dieted. And if so, when did you diet? What type of diet was it? And how long did it last? Did you see results? And try to go back. Maybe you're going to go back to when you were 18 and you, became vegetarian for a short while. Well, it's not really a diet, it's a lifestyle, but maybe you just ate very differently than you do now. Maybe in your early 20s, you gave up all the carbs that you thought were bad. Or maybe in your 30s, you decided to do something low fat. I want you to think back to each example, if there's more than one, and say if you were happy, if you were angry, were you frustrated, were you disappointed, were you apathetic, kind of, it did work, whatever. How did you feel about each of these times, if there was more than one? Okay, and so if you're listening to the recording, you would pause here and write down everything. Okay, moving on to the next one. I want you to ask yourself, has anyone else affected your relationship with food positively or negatively? Now, this kind of goes beyond parents and grandparents and siblings. So, maybe it's somebody you met in college, got you into a particular style of eating. Maybe a boyfriend affected you, or a girlfriend, or someone you were dating, and they loved nachos, and then you became a nacho fanatic because you also loved them. And maybe they were obsessed with eating very, very healthy, and then you did too. Maybe it's a close friend. Right? Think to yourself, if anyone close to you has impacted your relationship with food, and if so, how? All right, so you'd pause and then unpause here. Okay, have you ever felt let down by your body? And if so, how? And this could just be a very wide range of things. This could be from illnesses, sicknesses. It really spans across the board. Or maybe there's acne. Maybe you felt like a time when you had no energy. Maybe there was issues, with sleep. It really could be absolutely anything. But if you ever felt let down by your body, how so? I'd like you to write that down. We don't have time to pause here, so I'm going to keep moving. But what are your biggest fears around food? If you have any fears at all. What are your biggest fears around food? And the opposite side, and again, I'm sorry that I have to rush, but what are your happiest memories with food? Think back to the happiest memories that you have with food. Where were you? What were you eating? Who were you with? Maybe you were on vacation. Maybe you have a happiest memory every year at Christmas time, or during Hanukkah, or during Thanksgiving. Or maybe you love your 4th of July annual barbecue, so it's something that's recurrent. These are all fine. Think about your happiest times with food. Where are you, what you're doing, and what your favorite food is. Maybe it's during those times as well. And then in closing, I'd like you to respond to, when have you felt your best? Maybe it was a particular era in time. Maybe it was your 20s. Maybe there was a particular year that you felt great. Maybe it's after you had a child, or maybe it was during a pregnancy. It really doesn't matter. It could be any time. Maybe there's a few times that really stand out. So what's happening here is that you've answered a long list of different things that all impact your food story. So after this call and after it's over, and if you're listening, on the webinar, you can go ahead and pause right now. But if not, I really do want you to go back. This is very important information that you've just written down. And I want you to fill in any blanks, and I really want you to notice any themes that are coming up. Okay, maybe the same people keep coming up in your food. Maybe it's in a negative way, maybe it's in a positive way. Okay, maybe you see things from your childhood that then carried on into your teenagehood. All right, what I'd love to do is be able to go through this with you. Okay, and we could actually set up a consultation to do that. But I'd love to be able to go through your food story with you, because that is going to be something that I'd be able to assist you with as a trained certified holistic health coach. I've done this before, and I really love helping people dive into their food stories and really crawl in there and see what's going on, because there's quite a bit more than meets the eye, I can assure you. All right, and so our last universal metabolizer is connecting with the sacred, and this is a sort of quick, it's no matter your beliefs, no matter, if you believe in God or if you just like connecting with nature, the universe, whatever it is, my last and final tip for you is to give thanks before each meal. It doesn't have to be a very formal kind of long grace kind of type of thing, but more just something very quick, a nice acknowledgement and a thank you to the universe, or God, or to whomever, or whatever, or to the animal, or to the vegetables, or to the farmer, or to the grocer, or to the restaurant service workers, whatever it is, in your mind or out loud, to give thanks for that food. Because what it does too, not only is it helpful because it's connecting you both mind, body, and spirit, but also it's giving you a chance to do some of that connection with the breathing, taking your breath, get some of that awareness connected in so that you're aware of your food, you're referring back to the quality, and you're thanking, So I really like that this is the last one because it kind of ties everything together. It creates a more pleasurable experience. And really, it's actually quite nice if you do it with others, too. I've gotten to the habit of doing this sort of very quick, and I do a nice quick sort of thank you to the food and to the universe for providing me with that meal. This is an exercise if we were going to kind of reflect back on our people in the beginning who were eating their breakfast burritos, but I think you probably got the drift of what I would recommend all of them do to really slow down. All right, so as we're kind of closing here, my question for you is, are you ready to slow down? This week, go through these exercises from the webinar, from your handout, and try as many as you can. There's an eating psychology conference going on. If you're one of my email subscribers, then you have seen the information from a few weeks ago. I'm also putting out something tomorrow. Listen in on some of the free lectures. This is all connected. A lot of what we've done tonight is very related to the free lectures that are happening this week, are going on this entire week, and everything is available to listen in 24 hours after it happened. So there was a lot of really good ones today. A lot of things are very related to what we talked about tonight. Okay, so try to listen into a few of those if you can. I'm also going to recommend that you spend some time refining that food story. Okay, go back in. Highlight the areas that you would want to rewrite. Okay, and by rewriting, I mean spinning them in a more positive light. If your, father always told you that you had to clean your plate before, during every meal, see how you can spin that. See how you can release any resentment. Okay, spin it, all of the negative things into a way that would create a situation where you were sort of inspired by your past self, and you're going to be moving away from those old food story chapters into a new food story. Okay? When I work with clients, this is what I help them do. I help them go away from the old food story and into a new food story to help them improve their metabolism, help them improve digestion, help them lose stubborn weight. This is what I'd love to do, and I'd love to help you do it too. Well, we'd start through a breakthrough consultation. And actually, I would love for you to bring your food story into our breakthrough consultation. I spend 90 minutes with you, and we go through absolutely everything in your food story. Obviously, you can trust me. Feel free to share everything with me. And as well as I get, everything that's going on in your life, both past tense and present tense. Okay? The cost for this consultation is 90 minutes. It's $49 normally on my website, but for tonight it's $24.50. If you go to wellnessbyalyson.com, right on the home page there's a link to sign up for the breakthrough consultation, and you're going to save 50% if you're interested tonight. Okay, so it's brought down from $49 to $24.50. I would love to go through your breakthrough consultation with you to look at those food story themes. We could decide if you want to work with me and what programs would be good. Perhaps it's a seasonal detox. Perhaps you'd like to be one of my one-on-one clients. And perhaps you're just interested in hearing what I do in general. But either way, I'd love to talk with you. It would be great to do this breakthrough consultation. And so let me know if you're interested. The code SLOWDOWN expires midnight, the 23rd of July. So please do go ahead and take advantage of that code. Again, it's SLOWDOWN at checkout, and you can visit wellnessbyalyson.com. Right on the home page there's a link to setting up a breakthrough consultation. Well, it was wonderful talking with everyone. Please do feel free to send questions into coach@wellnessbyalyson.com. I really encourage you to go through the exercises we had tonight, particularly going through your food story. Really spend some time with that. It's a wonderful and very, very important exercise. I really hope you enjoyed this webinar. I do appreciate, and I'm very grateful for everyone taking the time tonight here. Next month, we are having the August webinar, which is called Get Empowered by Eating Clean. That's going to take place on Wednesday, August 13th at 7:30 p.m. You can find sign-in information on my website, as well as if you are subscribed to my email list. I'll be sending out information. And of course, it'll also be on my Facebook page. Again, thanks everyone for joining. I really had a wonderful time tonight. Remember to slow down, take deep breaths before you eat, find yourself being centered, and it really is so important just to take some moments and be grateful for everything we do have. Thanks, everybody. I'm very grateful for all of you. Good night.